Today, packing for the Oregon Coast workshop. I'll let you know what's making the cut and why. Plus, a couple of items that I take on just about every trip I consider necessities that I just ordered extras of because they're on an insane sale at Amazon. I'll key you in on that. Well, hey everyone, it's Hudson. Welcome to this week's video. I'm gonna be going through my bag on what I'm taking to the Oregon Coast workshop, which actually kind of reads like a list of my favorite things. I'm really paring down to what I love using, along with some night photography gear, and a couple new little fun gadgets and goodies. I always am testing new stuff, but it's really kind of an essentials trip. And I'll talk about what I'm taking, how I'm rigging it, and how I plan to protect it shooting out in saltwater and rough Oregon coastal conditions in those beautiful landscapes. So before we do that, I just want to key in some people people who've been on the workshops with me, or people that have followed the channel for a long time, know that I don't go anywhere without Samsung T7 hard drives, and both the regular version and their rugged version that's a little more armored and resilient are on an insane sale on Amazon. I hope they're still on sale when this video launches on Thursday. They've been on for about a week. I think they may be clearing them out as they move to their next version. These things are fast. You know, they tend to read about 800-900 megabytes per second if you plug them into a good USB port with the cables that they're shipped with, or Thunderbolt port. I use them constantly. I keep my Lightroom catalog on these. I keep files on the road on them. I have 4 terabyte versions. I just got a new 4 terabyte version because they're nearly 50% off. I'm putting a link in this video's full description, or you can click up here and go to the digital darkroom section of my ATS links site. But if you click on this video's title and then show more for the description, or click video description and show more, you'll see the links to the things I'm talking about in this video. It's a sweet, sweet deal. Also, something I can't believe I've never seen on sale before is the Osprey Transporter 120 rolling burly duffel. Big wheels make it easy to roll across rough surfaces on trips. I load my tripod in here. I load my NYA-EVO bag. Sometimes I take the Pelican case with all of my critical stuff and put clothes and stuff in the NYA-EVO bag with my tripod in this, and it has 3 internal straps to hold things securely, internal pockets, a really nice business card holder, and a pocket for while you're rolling around, and it's got a drop clip strap to hold your carry-on bag hanging on the front of it while you roll through the airport. It only weighs 8 pounds, and it's amazing. I've got 2 of these now because this is on sale for about 40% off. It's marked down from like $360 to $240 or $220. But it's an insane deal. I'm putting a link to that as well over on my links page under packs and necessities, and pack straps and necessities. You can also find a link to it in this video's description. I haven't seen the Transporter 120 listed anywhere. I occasionally get people saying, isn't that too big for a checked bag? And I can say I've checked it on budget airlines through Europe. I've checked it on South American Airlines. I've taken it down to Costa Rica on the little puddle jumper plane. I've checked it on just about every major flyer in the United States, and nobody's ever batted an eye. I don't even have to take it to oversize. All right, so I told you there's a new gadget I'm bringing along. I shot some B-roll of going through my camera bag with this, or actually my wife Stacy did. It's a little DJI Osmo Pocket 3 gimbal 4K video camera. And I'm gonna bring this along on the coast trip, and I'm planning to take it to Europe later this month, just to be able to do some behind the scenes work out on location, some more storytelling like I love to do for this series for all of you. It seems to be an awesome, awesome little tool for capturing high quality video, so I'll report back on that, but I'm testing it and so far just enjoying the heck out of it. I told you I'm bringing some night gear. I'm bringing extra night gear for people in the workshop, and I've got my little bag here. This is the extra small NYA-EVO RCI, which I should be getting some of before long. I love this little guy. It can kind of pack into your NYA-EVO bags in addition to whatever RCI you're carrying, or it's a standalone and you can carry it sort of donkey style. But inside I have some dividers, and I've got my Acrotech Ultimate head with its quick attachment for the new Nomad Move Shoot Move. I've got my new Nomad Move Shoot Move with the laser and the polar scope inside there, ready to go. And I'm bringing a couple of the older Move Shoot Moves and setups for other people to try on the workshop. We're really hoping the weather looks like it might cooperate with us for some Milky Way on this coast trip. So see how that rolls. You know, you can never say for sure, but it would be cool. Another thing I've got on the trip that I always take on workshops is my big repair and cleaning kit, which I've got tools for wet cleaning, tools for repair, screwdrivers, wrenches, all that kind of stuff. Cleaning solution, wet sensor cleaning solution, gel stick sensor cleaning. And of course, the thing I use more than anything these days is this VSGO amazing little blower that's in my cleaning supplies section over in the ATS links page. I'll put a link to this blower. It's not cheap, but it's amazing, and I find myself rarely ever doing wet cleanings anymore. It's just so efficient. If you frequently blow it off with that guy, you're good to go. All right, tripod. In this particular case, going to the Oregon coast, especially, you know, taking the van El Jefe on a workshop, I am absolutely taking my tall 7-pound fluid head setup. You know, it gets 70 inches tall. Not because I'm 7 feet tall, I'm obviously not, but because sometimes I want to set up perched on a rock with 1 foot down in a tide pool or in the surf, or you know, I'm just in a position where I want to shoot over a low hedge and I want to see out over. There's all kinds of situations on the coast where you're in precarious spots and you want to throw a tripod leg way down to catch a rock ledge below you. Having that extra length really, really helps out. Having that stability. Obviously, I have my rock bag. I always have my rock bag, so I can throw some rocks in there if it's windy and just root the thing. Or with the hook, I can hang my NYA-EVO bag off of it if it's not too windy where it's blowing the bag around, or I can set the bag so it's just gently on the ground a little bit. And I've switched out my titanium claw feet that I normally keep on this tripod for the stainless steel spikes, which have these nice little caps. So when it's on your bag, and I like to keep it on the side of my bag. It stands up a bit and sticks down a bit. I don't like having these sharp points where it could catch my leg, taking the pack on and off. If I want to shoot someplace with a delicate surface like a wood floor or do a demo, I can screw these little rubber caps on, make sure they're screwed on tight so you don't lose them. And I've been using these stainless steel spikes, these TFS spikes that we sell in our store for years in salt water, and there's not a speck of rust. They're really high quality stainless. You stick a little Allen wrench through. When you're gonna put them on and take them off, I always bring the leg out a little bit and hold on to it, stick an Allen wrench through that hole and twist it on and off. I don't ever put pressure on that joint. And I put a little bit of grease on the threads so that it's nice and sealed, particularly when working in salt water. And I will always extend the lowest leg first out working in salt water. And I won't retract it when it's covered with salt water. I'll have a spray bottle in the van that we can pump up and spray everyone's legs off with fresh water and wipe them with a rag and let them dry a little bit in the air before we put them away. At least get the salt water off of them. You don't want to be sucking salt water up into your tripod legs. We grease all of these joints in our custom tripods. We grease the feet. We make sure that things are nice and sealed. And so when you've got that thing locked, it should be watertight and sealed. You want to put the lowest leg out, and you don't want to retract anything that got salt water on it. Okay? All right. So that's my support for this particular workshop. All set for panoramas, all set for gimbal action for birds with that pan and tilt fluid head. Video, it's just all kind of set. So the NYA-EVO bag. Let's go through what everybody's most curious about first, and that's what camera equipment is making the cut. I'll fold my shoulder straps back. One of the things you'll notice that I love about this bag is the way it just stands up on its own. I'm going to open my back panel, and I'm not bringing my Z9 on this trip. This is not an action-focused trip. It's more of a landscape-focused trip. I'm bringing my Leica Q3. We'll talk about that in a minute, and I'll use that in a lot of landscape-type situations. But there's always a chance for wildlife. Maybe we see seals. Maybe we see whales, you know, from one of our high points along the coast. Maybe there's a landscape shot that's a little bit longer lens extractive scene. So I've got my 100 to 400, which I just love for all of those types of situations. You know, the potential for wildlife along with long lens landscape work. I've got probably my favorite Nikon lens ever, the 14 to 24 2.8, which I tend to love with tide pools and skiscapes and tremendous cloudscapes that we get a lot at the Oregon coast. Along with that lens, I'm bringing my HB97 hood, which snaps to it or any of the 2.8 zooms and the 51.2 and the 14 to 30, and that lets me just snap my click, drop my 112 millimeter case filters onto that lens whenever I want to. I got the full contingent here: night filter 10, 6, 3-stop ND, circular polarizer, and the UV. In case I'm out in wind and blowing salt water or sand and I want to use this magnificent lens, boom, all of a sudden I've got a UV filter in front of that precious 14 to 24's front element. That's the only way to do that. It's with 112 filters, and you can stack and swap at will with that system. So it's as easy as that. I always bring a spare cap for this lens too. It's a unique cap that you have to have put exactly the right direction to install or take off. And I like to keep my 112 millimeter filters right there under the divider that keeps the stuff in the top of my pack from migrating into the stuff on the bottom. And I've also got my, my frequently used and beloved 24 to 120, which is an amazing Sunstar lens, as well as just a wonderful jack of all trades above 24. I've got my 50 1.0 Voigtlander that I love to manually focus and work, particularly in black and white and portrait scenarios. And I've got my 21.8 because we have the potential to do night work, and this is my preferred star tracker lens for Nikon, and it's just magnificent. I did a video just last week testing wide angle lenses against each other, and the 14 to 24 and the 20 millimeter are just sort of unbeatable. You can see a link to that video from last week right here. And then instead of the Z9, I'm bringing the ZF because I just love shooting with it. And with the enhance that we've got in Lightroom Classic, the super resolution, if I take a nice sharp image at 24 megapixels, I can blow it up to 96 megapixels. You know, as long as it's sharp and doesn't have any flaws, those flaws will get magnified. But the super resolution results from this camera are magnificent. I learned that in Scotland last year. And I like to use it with the small rig grip that puts an ARCA plate at the base, but then I use a Really Right Stuff universal L bracket on that plate that I've adapted. It allows me to use the flip screen in any way that I want, and the way I've got it set up, and it also has a QD port and lets me use it as an L bracket. So that's what I'm taking, and it's likely all I'm going to be taking to Europe as well. That along with the Q3, which is just impossible to beat for image quality. Oh, another pocket in here holds my little Bluetooth remote control for that camera. That way if I'm doing panoramas or low light work, I can trigger it remotely. We'll go to the main compartment now. This, this horseshoe around the top here, I pop my top compression straps and open that guy up, and I love how it just folds forward. And inside I got my Q3 in its little mirrorless mover 20 case. I'll put that off to the side here, or maybe it's a mirrorless mover 10. I got my Gore-Tex jacket, my Patagonia Torrent shell, which is just wonderful for the coast. I also have a Gore-Tex jacket or a waterproof jacket for the NYA-EVO bag. It has a DWR coating that's environmentally friendly, but this is a complete shell that just covers it in case we get into a rainstorm. It'll keep everything in the bag dry. I've got my hat, I've got my Touch Tech OR sensor gloves. Those are in my full set of links on the website. I got my 1.4 teleconverter in case we do run into wildlife and 400 isn't quite enough for me. This 1.4 teleconverter works great with the 100 to 400 in reasonable light. And I've got a rain cover for the camera as well, a rugged Gore-Tex rain cover, along with a couple of big microfiber towels in case we get into those kinds of wet conditions. I actually have 3 big microfiber towels in here in case we get into conditions where there's blowing salt water or rain, and I just want to be keeping that off the camera bodies and the work that we're doing. You know, it's nice to even drape the camera in between shots if there's blowing salt water and wind. In my quick access little front pocket here, I got the things that I want all the time. I got my headlamp, my Princeton Tech Viz, which is my absolute fave. It defaults to red unless you do multiple presses of it, and that's nice for night work. You're not accidentally blinding other people. Plus, it's got some really bright modes and it's easy to use. And if you long press it, it actually goes, it'll start blinking after a really long press. I love this feature. Now, the battery, or the power button blinks, and now it's inactive unless I long press it again, so it can't get pressed in your bag and burn out the batteries. I got my LumaLab strap. I know these things are unavailable at this point. I am working to create a new QD sling strap with some folks that would rival the LumaLab strap. For right now, there's just really not anything nearly as good as this available. But I do have kind of a workaround. You can use some Black Rapid gear and an ALG QD strap. That's on my link site under packs, straps, and necessities. I got a little bit of residual oil remover and magic fiber cloth in case something gets sweat or salt water on it. And of course, a quick little kit of the most used Allen wrenches put together with a red whip in here in case I needed a quick tool while I'm out in the field. I always want that stuff available instantaneously whenever I want it. I keep it in that little simple to access zip there. And then in my horseshoe zip, I'm not carrying a whole bunch of stuff in here. I've got a multi-tool. I got the little beaver tail that can attach to the pack to put wet stuff on the outside of it. You know, you also have your dry bag, which is folded up top here that expands out. But I do have a couple of things in here. I'm only taking a couple of Nikon batteries for the ZF, given that it's got pretty good battery life, and whenever I'm not using it, I can plug it into my little Anker 20,000 milliamp battery pack, which I list with all the cameras that take PD because it's a simple, affordable, I think it's 35 bucks. It'll charge your battery multiple times. You can just plug it in the PD charging port on your camera when you're not shooting, even while it's sitting in the bag, and top your battery off in between shoots. So I almost never switch batteries anymore. And that is essentially the gear that's going in that bag. I will frequently probably travel around just working with other folks with this little mirrorless mover 10. It's a mirrorless mover 10 bag on my side with my Leica Q3, which I just adore still. I've got my Really Right Stuff Q3 L bracket mounted to this guy. They did eventually create an L bracket, and it is by far the best L bracket for the Q3. It's got a really nice grip that you can just hold onto. Nice L bracket, lets you use that screen quite nicely, lets you access the memory card slot, lets you get your battery in and out. So a very nice L bracket, an amazing camera. You know, I find myself shooting with this an awful lot in the landscape for its magnificent 60 megapixel sensor and this 28 1.7 lens, which is just unbeatable. So I keep that in here along with a spare Leica battery, and again, it takes the charging, the PD charging, so I can just top it off. I rarely ever switch batteries. And a few little tools and a microfiber cloth, and good to go. So that's what's coming along with me on the Oregon Coast Workshop. If you want links to any of this stuff or any of the other gear that I use, again, you just run over to my website at hudsonhenry.com and click on all my links, all my gear. So we have a wonderful group going with us. The Oregon Coast is one of my favorite places to photograph. I can't wait to get out there. Conditions look like they're lining up really interestingly, so hopefully we get some really good light. I will definitely, Rick and I will take you behind the scenes and we'll talk through the things that we learn and some of the images that we capture in this workshop. And then I'm gearing up to head off for Europe. I have a trip going to Switzerland, Italy, and of course the Scotland workshop later at the end of this month. So I'll be gone for a fair bit, and I'll be creating some interesting content on that trip as well. So, all right, everybody. I hope while I'm out there on the coast, all of you are staying safe, staying creative, having fun with your gear. You have questions, you have comments, you have concerns, throw them in this video's comments section or email me. Oh, we'll have an office hours before I head off for Europe. You can always sign up for that, a big photography group get together on Zoom and YouTube Live. You can sign up for that at hudsonhenry.com/office hours. Leave us a question. We're going to do pretty much an open Q&A for the next one, so we'll try to get to all your questions that we can. All right, everybody. So thanks so much for watching. Take care. We'll see you next week.